Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrabhashakritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punaha Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bhedu Vibhagine Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaya Dakshina Murtaye Namaha Gukarastu Andhakaro Vai Rukarasta Nivartakaha Andhakara Nirodhitvat Gururitya Bhidhiyate Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryankaravavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So today we are going to take up the Anuvaka number 9 of Sri Rudram. So let us chant the 9th Anuvaka that we are going to see the meaning of today. Nama irinyaya cha prapathyaya cha namak kigumshilaya chakshayanaya cha namak Namakapardine cha pulastaye cha namo goshthyaya cha grihyaya cha namastalpyaya cha gekyaya cha namakatyaya cha gehvaresthaya cha namo hridayaya cha niveshpyaya cha namah pagum savyaya cha rajasyaya cha namash shushkyaya cha harityaya cha namo Pyaya cha lopyaya cha urvyaya cha surmyaya cha namah parnyaya cha parnashatyaya cha namo paguramanaya cha bhignate cha nama akhidate cha prakhidate cha namo vakkirikebhyo deva nagum hridayebhyo namo vikshinakebhyo namo vichinvatkebhyo Nama anirhatebhyo nama ami vatkebhyaha. So that's the 9th Anuvaka. So in introducing the 9th Anuvaka, Swami Dayanand Ji says that this is also focused on the antaryamitvam of Rudram, of Ishvara. Rudram and Ishvara and Shiva, and they're all the same, really just the same. So the 9th Anuvaka also is detailing out the antaryami nature of Rudra. Yeah. So a couple of comments before we get into the details of the Antaryamitvam of the Anuvaka number 9. So let us look at the relevance and the importance of understanding both the material cause as well as the efficient cause, intelligent cause, efficient cause. I don't know why the word efficient is used. That I've never really understood as an English translation. Nimitta karanam, upadana karanam and nimitta karanam. So in any kind of a subjective, any kind of a creation, pardon me, there are two factors involved, as you know very well. So one is the intelligence of the creator, and the other one is the material through which the creator makes the creation. These are the two things. So in that sense, you can say that sarvatmakatvam of Rudram is the Upadana Karanam. And Sarva Antaryamitvam is the Nimitta Karanam. So now let's just, having made that clear, let us now focus on the Antaryamitvam. So what really Antaryamitvam means is, how does this creation actually function? The fact that it is all Brahman, so again our very simple-minded example, that really there is only one Akasha which is seamless, and there is no akara, there is no form to it. But out of the Akasha you can build, small Akasha, big Akasha, etc. And transactions can take place. So this is what exactly happens. You go on a plane and you find in the modern planes, there's not much space to sit in. So everybody is just, it's really uncomfortable. I am amazed that in the old days, because we used to have, maybe 2 plus 2, and all the seats were nice and comfortable. I'm talking about 40, 50 years ago, when flying was a luxury. But nowadays, if you go on a plane, where was he the other day? I could not believe these wide body planes. They had either 2 or 3 on each side and 4 in the middle. Can you believe it? 10 seats on one row and probably about, 50 seats. Incredible. So everybody complains about space. I don't have enough space. Sometimes when you have a carry-on, you don't have enough space to carry all your equipment. So the same space which is formless becomes an object of transactions by becoming formful. So this is exactly how the Antaryamitvam of Rudram needs to be understood. How does it function? In a way, back to our simple-minded example, if you are Boeing and you have to design planes, you have to figure out how much seat space to be given, how much aisle space to be given. They want to maximize the profits of the various airlines. Some functionalities also used, profits are also used, all in the design of space. So similarly, the Antaryamitvam of Ishvara also all has to do with how does the world function? How is Ishvara designing the whole world so that it can somehow function as we do? Some good, some bad, some stable, some not so stable, but it functions. So how? How does it happen? So this is the Antaryamitvam. Alright, so now some general comments before we go into the detail. That's what I wanted to do. So our understanding of how Ishvara functions is important because it contributes towards our understanding that it is functioning according to some plan. I remember Swami Dayanandaji talking about this long time ago, and it really made an impression on me. He said, if you're going on some vacation and you're staying at a resort and you have a beautiful garden and all the, there's maybe Disneyland or something like this. So if you have a 4-year-old, 5-year-old who is also in your family, that 5-year-old is not going to understand how this whole thing is functioning, who pays for it, And none of that is really is their concern. They just enjoy. But if you have a teenager, 16, 17-year-old child, not a child anymore, in fact it's becoming a teenager. If they also do not have an idea of how much things cost, how does it function, who's paying for it, then they have not really grown up. It is important for them to do that. So similarly, the Antaryamitvam of Ishvara is a opportunity for us to understand how Ishvara works. How does it, this is exactly what we are doing, and we will continue to do that today. Okay? So this contributes to the growth of our understanding, because otherwise, we are born into this life not even knowing that Ishvara has created the whole thing, not knowing where it is, how does it function? No, nothing. So the growth of the individual really makes us understand how this is done, and this is exactly what we're doing. So it's another important point. So I just want to make that point. Okay. So a child, 5-year-old child, should not be faulted for not asking questions about how this whole thing has come about. A 18-year-old, 17-year-old person, daughter or son, should ask questions to see how the whole thing is coming about, who paid for it, and etc. All of that. So if he doesn't, she or he does not do it, there is a certain defect in their thinking, isn't it? Because if they are just listening to songs and they don't really have any dialogue with you as to, Mom and Dad, I'm so glad we are here, how much does it cost, and when can we come again, thank you, all of that is good. But if they are just listening to songs and have no idea about what's going on, there's a certain defect in their thinking. Okay? Now let's go to the next step. Suppose you know who paid for it, how does it come about, how expensive it is, this whole resort experience and so on. If they don't thank the parents, despite knowing what happened, there is a certain more defect in there. And certainly supposing you, let's take another example where, you have a condominium in Hawaii, and it's a 3-bedroom condominium. This is the real case. I've seen this many, many times. And your children have now grown up, but you take a friend with you. Say, please, we have an extra room, why don't you come with us? So the friend says, well, that's wonderful. Now, if the friend who is a fully grown person, 40 years old, and has no idea about thanking someone or understanding how this came about, there is a defect in them. So now, there are two things involved, three stages, if you may, in the understanding of Sri Rudram. One is you have no idea who Rudram is, you are a 5-year-old. Then you have the ability to understand what Rudram is through study and so on, and you're saying, oh my God, I had no idea what's behind all this. Who created this? This is incredible. But you don't say anything about it. You don't talk about it. You don't thank anyone. Swami Akhandanandaji, whose books I've been reading lately, he makes so beautiful points. He says, let me ask you, he asks the audience, he says, let me ask you, if somebody gives you something and is responsible for giving it to you, should you not thank that person? For example, not only that, you have to pay for it. Electricity, pay for it. Water bill, pay for it. Space in your property value, pay for it. You have to do that. Here you have all the important things about heat, light, intelligence, health, all given to you. Have you ever understood what you are getting, and are you paying any attention to it? Who are you going to pay? How are you going to pay? You know how you have to pay? You have 24 hours, 60 times 24 minutes. Should you not spend at least some time remembering and thanking Ishvara? It's a defect if you don't. So this is what is called apamana. Apamana means it's an insult. And it's not as though Ishvara wants your thanks or he's nothing. He's going to give it to you anyway, whether you thank him or not. But the insult comes back to you with karmaphala. If supposing you have an important person who is in your, you had invited to a get together, social get together, and some very important person comes in, and you neglect that person completely. Don't recognize the importance and so on and so forth. Is this not an apamana? Surely is. And then you can just say, I'm a Vedanta and I'm going to do this identity between Atma and Paramatma. How is that going to make any difference to you? If you're not even doing some fundamental things of recognizing who the Antaryami is, how Antaryamitvam works, and then after you know about it, have a knowing smile on your face and be connected to the Antaryami. Thank the Antaryami. So, in some ways, if you didn't take this course of, supposing you had no idea of who Rudram is and what the Antaryamitvam is, ignorance is somewhat of a bliss. You don't know. It's like a 5-year-old. You can't blame the person, a 5-year-old, that, you should know this. No, 5-year-old is not supposed to know this. But if you have studied and still do not understand and have this attitude towards, wow, this is amazing, that would be a problem. So your responsibility after going through these courses, all of ours, me too, is to now put that into perspective and understand that my life really is described in these verses and so on. So I don't know. I thought I'd just make some general comments on that before we get started. So let's now go to Anuvaka number 9, and the first verse of this is Nama irinyaya cha prapathyaya cha. So Irinya means a desert where nothing grows. The bhumi, the earth, has not been tilled. There is no ability for the desert to have aushadhis, to be able to grow some plants and make it available for you to enjoy eating, etc., etc. Not possible. And prapathya means a good, well designed road, almost like a freeway. So prakarshena pathyaha, one which is very clearly defined, is called prapathya. Okay? By the way, I should just say this, that if you look at Swami Dayanandaji's explanation of all this, consistent with what he has chosen to do, in my opinion, not that he doesn't know, but what he has chosen to do in terms of explaining, is the traditional way, no, I wouldn't say traditional, but the normal way to understand the sarvatmakatvam and sarva vyapitvam and sarvanantaryamitvam. That he is also in the desert, he is also in the road, all that is good. But I think, so please, if you want to just look at the meaning in this normal way, please just go through that. And Swami Dayanandaji has done a very good job of really just understanding how these words are formed, what do they mean, all of that is done. Swami Maheshanandaji, on the other hand, with this book and his explanation, again, nothing new, is the same thing, I'm just revising it, gives a much more personal interpretation of what these things mean. So, as an example, take Irinyayacha. So, Swami Dayanandaji will say that Ishvara is in the desert also, because it's the variety of creation is just amazing. You have deserts, you have Amazon forest, which is so green that in fact that's going to come here somewhere. Goshtyayacha, I think Goshtyayacha. It is so thick with vegetation that sunlight does not even penetrate. So you have both extremes, and Ishvara has made this variety of things, all for, this is part of what the world is. So Swami Dayanandaji takes Irinyaya traditionally, normally. I keep saying traditionally, not really, we don't know what the tradition is, but the normal understanding that Ishvara is in the desert also. Swami Maheshanandaji says this. This is the one he says, the whole thing is nothing but an understanding of, as we were saying, that Rudra is both sarvatmakatvam and sarva vyamikatvam, antaryamitvam, all of that. Okay? It's all of that. So the path of understanding Ishvara means that if you do not have the right mind, you have never been exposed to the truth, no one has really taught us, we never had the opportunity, it is like your mind is like a desert. Nothing grows in it. I'm talking about spiritual growth. And yet, if you cultivate the mind, meet the right people, read the books, follow the thought process and slowly put it together in your mind, and my God, here is something important going on. then you have the ability to discover the truth about yourself, which is hidden from you. And so in that manner, Iranyaya is like a desert where nothing grows. You just go through the life, just the normal likes and dislikes, some experiences, good and bad, life's over. Nothing gained. But if you put the effort in and you keep your eyes open and you understand what's going on, then the same thing becomes a prapatya, where you have almost like, you once you're living in town and you want to go on faraway land through a freeway, there may be a lot of traffic going up to the freeway, and once you reach the freeway, there's no stoplights. It is just goes straight. So he takes that kind of a view throughout. And so that you will not be able to, unless you have this book and you know Hindi and so on, you won't get that view of this. So this is very common doing that. Okay. Then the next one is Kigumshilaya, Kimshilaya cha, then Kshayanaya cha. Very similar to the thought process, which is what I think Swami Maheshananji has something very interesting. He says, so if you look at the Swami Dayanandaji's explanation of this, let me read it. So for example, I'll start with Hiranyayacha. To the Lord, this is on page 192, to the Lord who obtains in the desert. Nama Hiranyayacha. Then Prapatyayacha, one who obtains in the beaten path. The word beaten path is an interesting one. That means you don't have to think about a freeway as I described, but sometimes you have these pathways. In the town that I live, Los Altos Hills, pathways are very important because it's a very hilly town, and from the very beginning they have really created a path that people can go through. And so for you to see, is this path the one that would lead me to where I want to go? Yes, because it has been done before. You can say that it's a very clearly designated path. So that's what's meant by beaten path. Easy to follow. Okay. Then Kimshilayacha, one who is in the form of roads full of pebbles. And Kakshayacha, to the one who is in the form of residential places. So again, there is a contrast. There was a contrast in Hiranyayacha, Prapatyayacha. One which nothing grows and one which is easy to follow, where people live and so on. Kimshilayacha and Chakshanayacha is the similarly. Kimshilaya means one which is not easy to walk on because it is full of pebbles and you need to have a shoe to walk on them. And Kakshayacha means that it is very plain, it's been well made already. Means in your own home, residential places, there's no pebbles inside the rooms of residential places. It's very nice, it's carpeted. Again, it has to do with the fact that if your antakarana is ashuddha, not pure, it is full of likes and dislikes, of being upset easily, of demanding, then you cannot find the right path. Even though it's interesting, both the person who is difficult to deal with and a person who seems to be at home, so to speak, in this language, both want the goodness to themselves. They're both looking for their own happiness. But a person who's got some problems in thinking, even though he or she may want to have a peace of mind, cannot get it. Because you are trying all kinds of things and it is the wrong things. You are getting upset at people, you're demanding, etc., etc. But a person who has really applied itself to understanding how can I be happy? By understanding that I can be happy by not through rajogunaha, not through tamogunaha, but through sattvagunaha. My acceptance about myself, acceptance about others, this is where my peace comes. It's a well-made path. So again, the same contrast in the first is also given in the second one. Kim Shilayacha. Then, Namak, what's the next one? Kapardinecha, I think. Let me go back to the Sanskritam. Namak kapardinecha pulastayecha. So kapardin means one that has matted hair. Matted hair. And pulastayecha means staying in front and very close. Let's see what Swami Dayanandaji's explanation of pulastayecha. One who protects from the front. So an interesting combination of two things. So one who has matted hair and one who protects from the front. So protects from the front means one who takes care of you, one who is friendly, one who is visibly in with you. Okay, that is the pulastayecha. And kapartina means one who has matted hair. So here the matted hair means tapas, because this is what these sadhus who don't even have a comb, they don't even have a comb, they don't really comb their hair and so on and so forth. It's not worth the bother. So it represents tapas, austerity. So you take a bath in the morning and you just tie your hair and then let it dry, or you just braid it so that it's not all over the place. So this is what is called a kapardina. Means one who doesn't care about appearances and so on. You know, it's interesting. You may have seen this. They say that in sadhus, all human beings, not just sadhus, we are very conscious of our hair. And you can see women who have long hair, how much time they spend in combing and going to hairdressers and so on. Men too, for that matter. And so often it is said that once you take sannyasa, you are supposed to take your hair out. Even women, you take this absolutely clean shaven. Why? Because the ego, it represents itself from the hair a lot. So anyway, it's a good thing I don't have that problem. Goshtyayacha, next one is Goshtyayacha Niveshpyayacha. Again, I think I will read Swami Dayanandaji's meanings, most of them. I may have to. I want to finish number 9 today. So I may not be able to go through all the words, but I'll try. And then I will also give you Swami Maheshananji's interpretation as we were seeing ahead. So Goshtyayacha means to the one who obtains in a cowshed. And Grihyayacha means to the one who obtains in a house. I was trying to remember what Swami Maheshananji said about Goshtyayacha. I don't have his interpretation. I'll have to look it up, and I probably will not do that at this point. Niveshpyayacha means that so the home, and those are very common between both the Swamis. So Ishvara resides in the home atmosphere. This is an important thing because Swami Dayananji used to say, he says, for a grihastha ashrama, and the second ashrama of life, in fact, the very meaning of getting married and so the marriage as a samskara is a very important one. Here, I mean, if I can just take 1 second to just talk about that. So the marriage is an important samskara in the Hindu thought because it gives you the ability to discipline. So, for example, you may, before marriage, you may be attracted to a number of other people, but after marriage, you make a commitment that I will be loyal to you and you be loyal to me. You can enjoy the company of others, that's not an issue. But as far as intimacy and so on is concerned, there's a certain discipline to it. And so the marriage becomes a method to be more disciplined in one's life. This is number one. Another one is, of course, to have progeny. This is a very important aspect. This is how Ishvara's creation is perpetuated. You are supposed to have children and so on. Then the next thing is to provide a home. And so what that means is a feeling of ease. So when the children come in, they feel, we are home. They can take off your shoes. And so this is why it's important that you should not really be too particular. Hey, why are you taking your shoes off? Your socks are over there. Let them be at home. And if they are getting some snacks in the middle of this, that, or the other, don't say you're not supposed to have snacks. Let them have snacks. Just be at ease. Because a house is a home when you have this atmosphere. But if you are too particular about things and you're not doing this, you have to wash dishes, you have to do this, it's not a home. And so this is what is meant by, both the Swamis agree on this, Niveshpyayacha. So Vishrama in Hindi, Vishrama means where you have a restful personality when you are there. So it's possible. So Ishvara has made that possibility. And that means that there's no rules and regulations. Should not be, obviously there should be some discipline. I'm not saying that it should be a free-for-all. But the point is that people should feel at home at home. Swami Chinmayanand used to say that. So he would say Hari Om should mean hurry home. All right. So then the next one is Talpyaya cha gehyaya cha. So here Swami Maheswaranji chooses not to really make any special commentary for that, but Swami Dayanandji says Talpyaya cha means who obtains in a cot, just a woven choir cot, which is common in India, and also in Gehyayacha, which is a mansion, one who obtains in a mansion. So both the poor and the rich. And so that is the variety of the creation of Ishvara. So that was that. Then the next one is Katyayacha Gahvareshtayacha. So Katyayacha, the one who obtains in difficult places, says Swami Dayanandji, and Gahvareshtayacha is the one who obtains in a cave. Maheswaranji, I think, had given a very good commentary on Katyaya. Let me go to that. I did not write down. जीव भाव से संसार चक्र के भ्रमण करने वाले ही भी वो हैं तथा हृदय घर में कूटस्थ. Very similar thought to the Irinyaya cha Prapathyaya cha. And so the stages of life, one where it is you are lost. It's a difficult place. You don't know where you are in life, so to speak, is also a possibility. Okay? But then once you know what to do, even though it may give you an experience of difficulty of reaching it, that is the Gahvareshtayacha. So here, the example given by Swami Maheswaranji, I appreciate that, is Katyaya means that you don't even know that you have the ability to be exceedingly happy if you discover the Atma and its nature towards you. This is what we are studying in the Panchadashi class on Tuesday night. Exactly what the Mimamsa of the Ananda is on that. We don't know that. We are always looking for things outside, and we we mistreat ourselves thinking, oh, there's nothing inside me. I'm just a normal person, bored, and so on. No, there's something very valuable that I need to discover. So Katyayaji means it's a very difficult place. You'd have no idea. But then once you start discovering through teaching and instructions and advice from the wise people, that hey, there's something very funny going on, you have to really discover it. Even then it is not easy. At least on the surface it is not easy. Actually it's easier than you think, but you don't believe it's easy. So it is, this is exactly called Nihitam Guhayam. So Guha means your own mind, your own conclusion. It's like a cave, it's a dark cave. And so both Katyaya and Gahvareshtaya cha, they represent different phases of your thinking. But in the beginning, both look alike because you haven't found it, but at least now you are at the right place looking for it. Those are the kind of thoughts that Ishvara has made, and we have to just go through with that. Really, ultimately what it means is, I think if you really boil down to all this, the need for Shraddha. Need for Shraddha. And this is an important thing to see, why we need so much Shraddha. We don't need faith. We don't need blind faith. Blind faith is not helpful in this whole thing. So blind faith means what? So the difference between Shraddha and blind faith is this. Blind, when we say blind, when we say faith, we mean blind faith. What do you mean by blind? Blind means it is not something that I will verify in my life. It cannot be it's a non-verifiable belief. So you say, well, when will I discover Ishvara? Well, you're not going to discover Ishvara. There may be after you die, then you can discover. Shraddha, on the other hand, is verifiable belief. So what that means is that it is there, but you need to persist looking for it. And you have to make some sacrifices. Are you ready for it? Just happened to read a book by a satsang booklet, really more of a booklet. It's about 100 pages or so, by Swami Akhandanandaji, which is what I'm reading most of the time now. I want to really get into what he's saying. So one of the things he points out is his life's experiences. Because unlike some of our acharyas that had a normal beginning, Swami Akhandananda really left home at a very early age looking for Mahatmas. 4, 5, 6 years age. He had lost his father. He was only living with his grandfather. But he just started to follow the sadhus wherever they would be, and he had wonderful experiences of meeting some great Mahatmas. So he was talking about this experience one time, where it was on the banks of the river Ganga. So he was born near Varanasi, because as you know, Ganga passes through Uttar Pradesh, UP, and passes through Kashi, Varanasi. So he was born in a village. Not in a big town or anything. The village life is very conducive for spiritual. If you have the right people there. If you don't have the right people, then you are lost. then you better get out of there and seek some other wisdom outside. But if the village is well preserved and has some wise people and good people living there, and that is the best way, because you know the difference between a village and a town. They say the biggest difference between a village and a town is, in a village you know everyone who resides there, where in a town you meet strangers that you don't know, and your way of dealing with them is totally different. So that was the difference. Anyway, so he was seeking out a Mahatma on the bank of the river Ganga, and he found somebody who was just amazing and had the experience of seeing Ishvara. And when he talks about Mahatma, when Swami Maheswaranji, Swami Akhandanandaji talks about Mahatma, he doesn't mean people that have a big name and has a big ashram and people are following him and he writes books and he speaks, and none of that. They're people who are just happy being who they are. They don't seek anything. They don't even want to teach. There's no wisdom to, they're just being what they are. They hardly have anything. If they get some food, fine. If they don't get food, it's okay. But their way of looking at it and their happiness in their life and so on really sets them apart. This is what a Mahatma is. So he found a Mahatma like that, and he's now describing, it's very interesting, he's describing a satsang that was happening, that happened quite late in the evening. And he says the satsang was so good, there were so many qualified seekers who were asking him questions, and they were singing bhajans, and with music and so on, really having a enjoyable evening of discussion, of really feeling it. All of that was happening. And it just late at night, it was like 12, 1 o'clock at night, and people didn't want to give up. And the Mahatma was also very happy with some of the questions, some of the intelligent queries that people are having. It was a good collection of people late at night. Swamiji is describing all this. So at the end of that, the Mahatma said, I'm really very pleased with your devotion, with your questions and so on. Now remember, this is a Mahatma who is a Jivan Mukta. The Jivan Mukta, he has a very clear idea of Ishvara and Brahman and so on, and lives it. A so-called realized soul, if you want to have the old style language. So he was very pleased with everybody. And he asked them, can you, if you want, tell me what you want in your life, and I will try to provide it for you. So people started asking questions. And he said, Swami Mahatma Ji, how do I get to be at your level? Please tell us that. So they were questions of this type. Okay? Then there was one person who seemed to be really with it. So Mahatma turned to me and said, what would you like? He said, I would like to see Ishvara right here without any hindrance, directly. Please make me see Ishvara right now. I don't want to wait. So the Mahatma was answering the questions for others and so on. And then he came to the answer to this person. And he said, okay. So he says, just follow me. Just follow the chanting. Hare Ram. And so he chanted very slowly and made everybody just be very absorbed. Because the knowledge was already imparted to them. Now it is a matter of just having the mind. So he says, just stay with me. Just follow my chanting. Chant with me. And so he did that. Then after a while, he became quiet. And he said, Ishvara wants to give you the darshan. Darshan means a direct vision. He's here and he wants to give you the darshan. But he's saying that after the darshan, you will need to give up everything. You'll be just completely fulfilled and you will not seek anything. It'll be like lying on the bank with not really taking care of your own body even. This is what will happen to you. Are you ready for it? So this person who had asked this question, that give me the vision of God right now, he broke his trance. Everybody was in a trance, really, so to speak, because they were really, their minds were in tune with what the Mahatma was leading them up to. But all of a sudden, when the Mahatma says that, he broke his trance and said, Mahatma Ji, I'm not sure that I'm ready for it. Because I have a family, I have my wife, and I have my children and my business. And I don't think I'm ready for that. What will happen to them? So Mahatma said, okay, that's fine. When you're ready for it, then you'll be able to see the Ishvara. A beautiful interchange, and really, it's what really makes this is a personal experience of this Swami Makhandananda. He says that experience that evening was so palpable, so real to me. I am telling you that. It's not like somebody has told me this. Remarkable story. So this it has many stories like this. So wonderful. I'm really enjoying that. So here what it really means is that we need to be ready for this. Anyway, I don't remember exactly how we broke off on this, but let's go back to the understanding of some of the verses. Where are we? 12:57. So you know what, I'm just going to go very quickly in the next 10-15 minutes because I really want to have a goal of finishing one Anuvaka for each one of them. So the next one is so we finished Katyaya cha Ghapareshtaya cha Hridayaya cha Niveshpyaya cha. Hridayaya cha means the one who obtains in deep waters. And Niveshpyaya cha, one who obtains in dewdrops, dewdrops. And here Swami Maheshananji does not give any particular commentary. So I will just leave it at that. Okay. Then the next one is Pagum Savyaya cha Rajasyaya cha. So Pagum here means palms Savyaya cha Rajasyaya cha. So Palm Savyaya means one who obtains in invisible particles. And Rajasyaya means one who obtains in the visible dust. Here I find that Swami Dayanandaji's explanation is really hits home to me. So and I remember this because he used to talk a lot about this. So his Upadesha becomes, I remember directly. I mean, I have a very photographic memory of teachings of Swami Dayanandaji because I stayed with him for so long. And it was not a question of reading a book. I never met Swami Maheshananji. I never had a chance to do that. But my direct experience with Swami Dayanand was something which has really stayed with me. And in many ways, this is why I don't read any of his books anymore. Because I don't need to. It's all in my head. Whereas I can read the other books because I've never met them, so their ideas are still new to me in that sense. So here, Swami Dayanandaji used to say what was so wonderful is that the Ishvara's creation is even more remarkable on invisible particles rather than visible particles. Another way he used to say that, which I've communicated that to you several times, that both his macro creation as well as his micro creation is something that we need to admire. The macro creation is just amazing. How many galaxies, how many suns, and how the life is in the various places. And it's just mind-boggling. All his creation. But even more important than that is the micro-creation of electrons and protons and neutrons and strings and so on that you cannot see, but they are there, because without them nothing functions. Swami Dayananda used to say that just is even more mind-boggling to me. The very fineness of his creation is just something incredible. So I think that's what appeals to me in this explanation of Pagum Savyaya cha and Rajasyaya cha. Then Shushkyaya cha Harityaya cha. So Shushkyaya cha means the one who obtains in dry wood. And Harityaya cha means one who obtains in the green live plants and trees. Again, beautiful contrast. Both of them are possible. Okay, then Lopyaya cha Ulapyaya cha. So Swami Dayanandaji says, Lopyaya is the one who obtains in a place where nothing grows. Okay, so here's something very similar to desert. Ulapyayacha means the one who obtains in a marshy place where just overabundance of water, both the extremes again. Very interesting. Swami Maheshananji says, Lopyaya means it is there but it is not visible. It is there. So this is our experience in life, that we see the nama rupa, the names and forms, but I don't understand that the consciousness which is Ishvara, consciousness which is me, my own nature, both the Jivatma as well as the Paramatma, is very much there in the Nama Rupa. I fail to see it. It's like failing to see the gold in the ornaments. I'm so involved with the intricacies of the ornamentation that I fail to appreciate the essence of them. So this is called Lopyayacha. Lopyayacha means that it's not there. And that's exactly what our situation is. You ask somebody, have you seen Ishvara? And they'll say, no. Ishvara is everywhere. You cannot have life without Ishvara. You cannot have, the consciousness is behind everything. But I say no, there's no Ishvara. Funny situation. Then, so Swami Maheshananji gives a very interesting etymology for Ulapyayacha. So Lopyayacha, Ulapyayacha, so becomes Lopyaya, Cholapyaya. So Cholapyaya can be broken down into Cha and Ulapyayacha. So Ulyate iti ulaha, called a clinging creeper. Lata. Lata is a creeper. And there are creepers that I have one in outside our home, in the home. In fact, it's a huge problem. They have tentacles that grow and they cling on to the walls, and they have suction cups that becomes clinging to the wall, and after a while when they dry up, they leave a mark on the wall. You cannot even remove it without repainting. So we have so much of that going on in the front of our home. So this is what is called Ulyate Ulaha. And so Swamiji says that from Lopyaya you can just say Ulapyaya, because once you develop an appreciation of the presence of Ishvara in your own life, it clings to you. How does it cling to you? Because the real progress is understanding that no matter where I am, what I do, and what's going on, I am there. My Atma is there. I cannot be separated from my Atma ever, even if I want to try, because Atma means me, the very consciousness. It's just that I am confused about what is me and what is not me. That's a separate matter. But it is clinging to me all the time. So here, Swami Maheshananji says, Brahma Akara Vritti, Premam, the love of the Brahma Akara, once the thought of Ishvara grows in you, it clings to you. You cannot remove it from you. That is the ulapyayacha. Then parnyayacha parnasadhyayacha. So here two meanings can be taken. One is leaves, parnyayacha, and another meaning is Vedas. Because in the Vedas is also called leaves. Yes, in Bhagavad Gita chapter 15, then the Vedas are the leaves. And traditionally in Vedanta, Vedas are considered to be the leaves. Means that the entire samsara vriksha is based on words of the Vedas. And those words of the Vedas have to be made, they have to disappear. Which is very, look like it's a sacrilegious thing. But what it means is that Vedas, 99% of Vedas are karma kandas. And ultimately the karma kanda should prepare you where you leave it. And you have to go towards jnanam. And so, in fact, Bhagavad Gita also says, this is a very important one, Vedaischa sarvaihi ahameva vedya vedanta krit. So he says that I am the very author of the Vedas, and you have to leave the Vedas and you have to obtain me. Veda becomes avedaha. Big discussion, we'll have to do that some other time. So that's the other interpretation of parnyayacha, parnashadhyayacha. Then the rest of it, which is Namo apaguramanaaya cha abhignate cha akhidate cha prakhidate cha is a group of verses that is talked about in terms of karma and karma phala. Again, we have done this before also, so nothing new, that Ishvara is both you as the karma karta and him as the karma phala data, both of them. So these verses, kirikebhyaha, amivatkebhyaha, etc., all has to do with this relationship between Ishvara and Jiva, a joint relationship. This is how the whole creation is maintained, where the Jiva becomes a karta and the results are given by Ishvara. And then you modify your behavior based on the results. And then at the end you have to figure out exactly where am I going wrong, what needs to be done. And then it becomes praptasya praptihi. It's already done. You don't need to do anything. And so this knowledge, and so it's not, there's a lot behind all of this, but that is exactly what these group of verses is talking about. There's something that I wanted to just point out. Yeah, the word kirika, kirikebhyaha, means the one who keeps digging. So kirika is also those bugs that dig the ground. Like for example, you have gophers, that dig the ground. They're very, very, very persistent and hardworking. That's the word I was looking for. They're very hardworking. My gosh, digging out of the earth is not easy, but they want to do. So similarly here, for a student of Vedanta, we have to keep digging until we get to the truth. This is the example given by Swami Maheshananji. He says, we have to be as diligent and as loyal, as persistent as these bugs that, or animals that keep digging. So he talks about that as well. Then he discusses this is the last thing that I will do. No, that comes in number 10. We will do that next time. So anyway, so I was a little rushed towards the end of number 9, but I think I wanted to give you more of an overall sense of the Antaryamitvam. That's why I had the prelude to it. And then I think most of the words are quite clear. And so with that, I close Anuvaka number 9. And in the next class, we will start Anuvaka number 10. Okay, so with that, I close the class. Om Asato Ma Satgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityor Ma Amritam Gamaya Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Few more people today. Keshav, Shantikumar, Satish Jalota, Pannabhuva as usual, both of them, and Natalya also. So nice to see all of you. And we are coming to the end of Sri Rudram. I think I'll maybe another 2 or 3 more classes. I will do a summary of some talks by Swami Maheshananji, which will be a different format. It won't be individually looking at each verse, but some general talks that he has given, so remarkable. So we will do that also, which is towards the, just to give you an idea. So he covers the detailed analysis from 1 to 124, and then from 125 to 625. about this much. He has given these public lectures, and which I will summarize because they are in very detail. So we will do that possibly for 4 or 5 classes. So altogether maybe about 6 or 7 more classes, and then we are done with the Thursday classes on Sri Rudram. Okay, wonderful. All right, with that I take your leave and hopefully we'll see you next week. Hari Om.